Hello, this is WP Product Talk, the place where every week we interview an experienced WordPress product owner on strategy, tips, experiences, failures, and successes of running successful and thriving WordPress product businesses. I'm Katie Keith, CEO and co-founder at Barn2 Plugins.
I'm Matt Cromwell, co-founder at GiveWP and Senior Director of Customer Experience at StellarWP.
And today's topic is effective live product demos for your WordPress plugin or theme.
I'm excited to talk with our guest today all about this because we've been experimenting a lot with product demos and find them to be pretty useful overall. And I do think it's a relatively new-ish feature that some product owners are using over the last couple of years more and more often. And I think they're really useful. So I'm excited to talk about it with our guest.
Yep, and to talk with us today is special guest Vikas Singhal. So, welcome, Vikas. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Hey, Matt. Hey, Katie. Thanks for having me on the stream. So, my name is Vikas, and I'm the founder of InstaWP. And we basically make it easier for anybody to spin up WordPress sites. So, that's a one-liner or a one-liner pitch for myself and the company. I'm in the WordPress space for last 4 to 5 years now, I think. And InstaWP is relatively new. And we have been trying to make it easier to, so the bigger goal is to make it easier for anybody to onboard into WordPress. So that's the bigger vision which we have.
Nice. And we should clarify a little bit. We thought of this subject of product demos, and a lot of folks do them in a lot of different ways. I've seen recently that more and more folks are using InstaWP specifically for product demos, but that's not really the core of your product offering. It just happens to be a benefit that some folks are using as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the larger product and everything that you offer?
Yeah, so the larger product is, as I said, is more about onboarding people into WordPress. So for example, we have a quick shortcut like wp.new. If you type it on the browser, you get a WordPress site, no questions asked. So that's the way, means we have found a pain point. My personal pain point when I started this project was there was still not a good way or an easier way to launch a WordPress site quickly in your browser. Back in like 2021, that's 2 years ago, and it was still a painful process. You have to install something, download a software, and then it's just a mess for new people who are joining to WordPress ecosystem.
Yeah.
So that's the pain point that we started with, and it quickly became the de facto standard of like quickly launching test WordPress websites or temporary disposable sites. And a lot of folks, like product companies such as yourself, started asking, can we use this to demo our products? So of course you can. Then agencies started asking, can we use this to actually build client sites? Of course you can. And then it just means rest is history, right? Means people use the platform in variety of different ways. Using it for product demos is just one example of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite things about having a product business is when you discover new use cases for your product that you may not even have planned. And then it's like a whole new marketing opportunity and opens up your market without needing to create a new product. So I really like discovering those things.
Yeah, and it's kind of like phases of coins. It has both it's pros and, I'll not say con, but once you start to discover the potential opportunities in a product, different use cases, then you have to actually, the onboarding process and the education piece becomes a little bit tough when you are not focused on a particular use case. And that's where we are at right now. Our product is so robust or so vast in terms of use cases. We have to find out specific personas of users. For example, this webinar or this podcast today is focused on product owners per se. But I can go on a couple of more podcasts such as this and then talk about a completely different use case. and
Yeah.
that's a little bit challenging at the same time. But as you said, it's of course very, very exciting at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine freelancers and agencies have lots of use for InstaWP and all kinds of things. End users might use it for different purposes and reasons, for sure. So,
Yeah.
well, folks, we do want to welcome anybody who's paying attention and watching live right now. And if you have questions or comments, hopes, dreams, aspirations for live product demos, then post them into the chat and we will answer them live throughout our conversation. But first off, we want to talk about why we think this subject of live product demos for WordPress product owners is so significant and important. Katie, what's your take?
Well, I'd say that product sales pages and screenshots are all very well and good, and they're pretty essential. But what really brings a WordPress theme or plugin to life is a live demo. Most companies just provide demos of the front end, but people want to see what it's like in the back end too. How easy is it to use? And what's the learning curve? What features and flexibility is there? So that's all really important. And historically, I would say there hasn't been any really great options for doing that in WordPress.
Yep.
Of course, it's quite tricky because it depends on the product, because some products are really front end heavy, and so the user's happy just seeing what it looks like on the front end, whereas others are back end heavy or both, so they do need to see the back end. So there isn't a one size fits all approach. So I would want to help product owners think about what's the best needs and that would help their product.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Vikas, what's your take?
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Means a lot of product owners come to me that, do I need your product? But first I have to tell them that you may or may not need, depending upon your use case. As Katie rightly pointed out, if the product has a very heavy front end use case, then for example, a theme, right, which doesn't do much other than in the terms of there is not a lot of admin settings for it, and the user is fairly satisfied by just looking at the front end of it. But almost more than 50% of cases where users will have to play around with the settings and see their results themselves, right? A lot of Stellar products are like that, and I think a lot of e-commerce plugins, which I'm sure Barn2 is doing, are like that. But as I said, not 100% of the product need that. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like talking about this. Like I mentioned in the intro, the whole idea of doing live demos in WordPress products, I feel like is relatively new, not brand new. Like it's definitely been a thing for a few years now. But but previously, folks were like, "Well, if you want to try my product, like I've got a free plugin, just install it on your WordPress site and try it out." Like that was the mentality. But the truth is, so many products today, in order for them to really shine, you kind of really have to dial them in correctly so that folks will see the use and the power of it. You might even need to do some sort of like admin, like walkthrough demo as well, just to say like, I know that here's a settings panel, but like, did you know if you go over to the post edit screen, you'll see X, Y, and Z. That's really cool too. And if you have a guided tour of the admin, that would be really helpful for some folks. You can do that with a system like InstaWP, where you create a template that has a pre-installed thing in it, and then you can go through all those things and give people the best experience of your product after it's already been configured. Because a lot of times that configuration phase is just kind of a chore, and that you don't get people to success. You don't get them to the aha moment of the plugin when you just click install and activate. So I think being able to put your best foot forward with these product demos is why I think it's significant and important personally.
Yep. People, as you said, people have been setting up demos using different plugins, like a multi-site kind of infrastructure, or maybe a shared admin demo where they share the same admin demo with multiple people, right? And all of these approaches, or you can just spin up something of your own. It's not a new concept, as you said. But at the end of the day, I think the most important factor which you touched upon is getting your potential customer to success. Is means first of all is setting means setting up a product demo is itself is an art. A lot of companies have figured it out. It's Gravity have figured it out already. I give that piece as an education to my whoever joins our community, in a way that you should, even though you are a customer, but I want you to be successful, and the way you become successful is to make your end users know about your product successfully.
Yeah.
And to do that, the product demo instance itself needs to be set up very, very tight. Means all the possible use cases needs to be covered, and you have to guide them through the admin UI or whatever. Right? It can be anything. And as I said, best is to get inspired from others who have done it best.
Yeah.
Right. So, and Gravity is one of them. I think LearnDash has set up very well as well. So, yeah.
Yep. Those are excellent examples. I want to highlight a couple of folks here in the wings. We're always live, and we have folks who are chiming in. Zach Katz is one of our co-hosts. He's here watching with us as well. Good to see you, Zach. Kevin Batdorf, good to see you. Thanks for being here, saying hi. Satyam is using a Slack emoji. I'd love to have a pink waving hand emoji in our comments here. But thanks you all for being here. Yeah, so next one up is we want to talk a little bit about our personal experiences with this subject in particular. I think I'll try to kick it off and talk about some of the things we've been doing. Over the years, we have tried to introduce folks to the GiveWP plugin in so many different ways. I'll use GiveWP as the primary example. And at first, we really did try to really encourage people to install the free plugin. That was like, go install the free plugin, try it out. That's the best way to get to know things. And then we found out people were trying it out on their live environment and sometimes breaking things. And it gets like a little bit hairy when you're just encouraging folks to just install a plugin just to see if they like it or not. Then we started doing a lot more videos. I do think a lot of this kind of question depends a lot on your audience and what they like, what they want. I'm always one who's like, don't give me a video. Like, I would love to have a nice article that I can skim, please, with screenshots. That would be great. So we leaned heavily on tutorials and documentation and screenshots and video. But even then, it's not particularly hands-on. Then we launched a live demo site, a subsite, demo, and it's still there, I believe, demo.givewp.com. And there we really tried to focus on all of the different ways that you might want to learn about the free plugin, which is screenshots and videos and text, but also we were like, give it a test drive. And we have a button form that they fill out, and it launches an InstaWP instance. And I helped kind of build out an admin demo area of like when it spins up and they log in for the first time, there's a modal that's like, welcome to the Give admin area. And here you can go make a post, or you can check out some settings, or you can go see your donors and give them kind of like a choose your own adventure kind of route. I felt like that was a good way to go about it. What I was surprised by is that we also gave the option for folks to sign up for a webinar group demo as well. And I really expected that the live demo would just be like 90% of people would just want to be doing the live demo. Let me get my hands on it right away. I think it's unique to our audience, but it was more like 40%, sometimes even less, maybe 30% of folks were wanting to get their hands on the plugin. The other ones were a mix of wanting to do the webinar, the group webinar, or just looking at videos or opting into white paper stuff. Like there were several different options. But only 25, 30%, maybe at the most, sometimes 40% wanted to get their hands dirty on a live demo. So that was really interesting to me in particular. Yeah. That's where I'm coming from personally. But I do like the way that we've seen some of that launch on other Stellar brands like LearnDash in particular, like the events calendar in particular. The events calendar really takes a few things to really get it to set up and like actually have a physical calendar that has events on it, for example. Being able to preload that right out of the box and be like, oh, look at all these great events you've got. it's a lot easier to just dump them into an area like that has stuff in advance. Yeah. Katie, what about you? What are your experiences to date with live demos?
So we've always just done front-end demos of all of our plugins, except for a couple where we've not had any demo at all. For example, we have one plugin which WooCommerce multiple email recipients, which just adds extra email fields to like the checkouts and things. So we didn't feel that justified a demo site. It's pretty obvious what it does. Whereas all our other plugins, we've just done a front-end demo plus screenshots on the sales page. But that's always created dilemmas because it's fine for the front end plugins, like say a document library or something like that, where you can see it in the front end. And yeah, people might want to see what the admin options are, but at least they can visualize the plugin in the front end. But we have quite a lot of plugins which allow you to restrict access to content on a WordPress site. So that might be sort of blog categories, WooCommerce product categories. We have a wholesale plugin. We have a WooCommerce private store plugin that hides your whole shop. So how do you show that on a front-end demo? And the way we've done that is by having things like a password on the demo. So it's like, here, this is your private store login page, enter username, password to unlock it. But that's not super user friendly because it requires the user to actually read the text on the demo, and nobody does that, of course. So I've always felt a bit uncomfortable about the way we have demoed some of our products. So what we're doing now is a project to kind of experiment with InstaWP, having met Vikas in Athens at WordCamp Europe. And it's taken us a while to get round to it, but this is great timing for me, actually, because this week my husband and co-founder Andy has been spending time setting up one of our plugins with InstaWP. And it's looking really great. But there are a lot of decisions to make, as you said earlier, to really showcase your product in the best possible way. Mm-hmm. So there are dilemmas like, what page do you start them on? And I'd love any advice about that, which actually fits in with Zach's question.
Exactly.
So yeah, maybe we should move on to that now. So where do you start them?
Yeah, how do you recommend onboarding users to your product when setting up product demos? So this is a question that you have yourself, Katie, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so if for anybody who doesn't know, you can use InstaWP to pre-populate a demo site, which the user can then edit as they choose, and then it disappears at whatever period you've specified. I think we're going to go with 4 hours or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the thing we've been debating this week is, where should we start people? Should we open the setup wizard, even though we've already set it up on the front end? Should we open a front end page and expect them to find their way to the admin through the WordPress toolbar at the top? Should we open a settings page in the admin? If it's a custom post type, should you open the list of custom posts like documents or whatever? So where would you start people to really have a successful onboarding experience so they know what to do?
Yeah, I guess it's one of those decisions where you have to do A/B testing, right? Which works best for your users. I generally recommend figuring out the major pain point of your customers. What is the first question they ask when they see their when they see your plugin? For example, I was actually browsing Document Library Pro the other day because there was a use case where I wanted to build a video library on InstaWP to show like an academy or a documentation using a series of videos. And then while I was browsing it, the first question which came to my mind, can I style this page according to my needs? Is can I change the layout? Can I use bigger thumbnails? Or whatever that question may be. And then over a period of like running your business, you know those top 3 questions. So I would suggest you start from there, right? If a plugin is complex and your onboarding solves that, I will say leave the onboarding on, right? So will basically push people to the onboarding interface, and that onboarding should take care of the majority of the questions. If you think that it's better for the users to already onboarded with a couple of examples, pre-built, pre-populated, and then you showcase. So I'll take example of Gravity. So they create about 10 different forms for different use cases. And for each use case, they have built a form, but they also build a page inside the WordPress site itself, which itself becomes a landing page. So the WordPress site itself becomes a landing page, and they redirect users to the home page of the WordPress site, but logged in. The user is auto logged in because InstaWP can give you the auto login feature. So in a way, what you're doing, like two things at the same time. You are letting people know that this is what the product is all about. So this is form 1, this is form 2, this is form 3, and then at the same time you just click on a form and then edit it, right? So you are essentially, I think, what comes out of from this story is that you show what all things are possible with your product, and then you allow people to click on a button and then experience themselves what it is all about.
Absolutely
So
great.
it's more about like giving them the breadth of your product, and then they themselves should go deep into the product. That will be their browsing experience. So I think that's the best way to do it.
Nice. I like that a lot. Yeah. I mentioned that earlier that what one thing we did was give them options of where they wanted to go. Like as soon as you log in, we popped up a modal and said, welcome, this is a tour or a demo, and here's where you might like to go. If they did choose to like go see the donors, it was kind of like, well, you go see the donors and then, well, there they are. And there's not a lot to do there. And then there wasn't necessarily much more guidance after that. So there's definitely more that we could have done to continue the guided tour and things like that. But I love that idea of using the front end of the site, which is far more customizable than the admin area.
Yeah, it is. You can
Exactly.
build literally anything on the block editor. You don't
Yeah,
even need to use a page editor for that. And it means you literally can build like a one page, a landing page. So that your demo site itself becomes a marketing site.
exactly.
It's not just a demo site, it's a marketing plus demo site.
Absolutely. Yep. We
So
also,
that's interesting, because if we're landing people on the front end and they're seeing the product, is that an argument to get rid of the existing front end demos? Because we were thinking of giving users a choice. Do you want to just demo, the site that's set up, or do you want to create your own editable version of it to play around with? But if we're taking them straight to the front end, which looks like our existing demo sites, could we get rid of our existing sites, or do you think they have different purposes?
I think that serves different purposes. The front end demo without much of a setup is a quick way to browse around, but you can have like a button somewhere or multiple places that try spin this up for me, or try this in a live environment, and that takes them to the exact same page where they want to go. And in HWP, you can actually set up their starting page where you want them to land. I think that's the experience. But as we discussed earlier, it depends upon plugin to plugin. In some cases, you don't even need to show the front end demo. You can just put them directly into the live demo. As you said, that's an interesting observation. Yes, we can do that.
absolutely. I want to throw out just one kind of tangent a little bit. One of the biggest uses that we have for InstaWP in particular is we use it a ton for technical support purposes. And I think it's also so useful and valuable for that as well. We just are spinning up sites all the time to try to replicate issues. And if we do replicate it, we hand it over to the developers to be like, here, this is where you can replicate that problem. It ends up being super useful in those cases as well. Also, for the customers themselves, when they're like, "Oh, this is not working, that is not working," we could send them the login link to that site and be like, "Go and check if it's working over here," which ends up being super useful for them as well. But lots of use
Yep.
cases for InstaWP.
Lots of use cases, as we stated earlier, and means one of the best use case we have found product companies using it is custom support, but by copying their live site. So we have a plugin which can be installed on a customer side. I guess, did you tweet about it, Katie?
Yeah,
a few days
recently.
ago?
I didn't know that InstaWP could be used for an instant way of
Yeah.
cloning a site, because customers hate being told to set up a staging site, because not all hosts make that easy. So I was like, oh, that could be a real benefit for support.
Yeah, even though
Yeah.
means there is a facility inside the hosting panel, not a lot of customers are familiar with it, and means creating an option within the dashboard and also like a partial staging. So they skip the media folder and things like that. So
Mhm.
that becomes a really useful tool.
Yeah.
And it's talking about different use cases. Sometimes even I wonder, okay, can we do this as well? And
Mhm.
that becomes like and then the product team says, yes, you have forgotten that we can do this. So, so
That's really
that's funny.
great.
Yeah.
It's actually a good topic that I feel like we've touched on in different episodes about just how, like what Katie highlighted, that it's great when you land on a use case that you didn't know that you had originally. But at the same time, like you said, it's like, it's great, but now you're responsible for that use case. Like as soon as you go down that path, now you actually have to like cater to those customers and their wants and needs. I remember one of my favorite stories was from Pippin Williamson from Easy Digital Downloads. He said, I like to listen to customers as much as possible, but they keep asking for a shipping add-on for easy digital downloads, and it's never going to happen. Like, it's just
Yeah.
one of those lines you have to draw. At some point, it's like this is our purpose, and that's not our purpose. So,
Right.
have you been having that struggle at all, Vikas, in terms of like you can expand, and you can become a whole entire managed WordPress hosting platform if you wanted at this stage?
Yep.
Are you talking about those types of things internally?
Yeah, every single day. So that has been one of the issues, is saying no to use cases, because we get so many because of the nature of the product. We wanted to become a platform, and becoming a platform is not an easy thing. When we
Mhm.
started, I mean, I've said in a couple of interviews that I want to become AWS for WordPress. It's just a vague term, so much a vague term. But right now, what we have found, our purpose is to limit ourselves in solving those major use cases which can drive revenue for the company, which is like the honest truth, and also to solve majority of the customers' problem, which nobody else is solving in a proper way.
Yep.
So that is, I think that's where you have to put your foot down,
Yep.
definitely.
Absolutely. I did want to touch on a little bit of different types of product demos, because InstaWP is a great option. But like I mentioned a little bit earlier, there are lots of different mediums you could use. I don't want everyone here to think that only a live product demo is the way to go here. Like I mentioned, I do think that videos can be really instructive and really informative, especially if you're using like on YouTube, at least you can use the chapters tool to allow folks to be able to skip to different parts of a really long video in order to see what they want to see. I think those are useful. I've seen a lot of video platforms now that are offering interactive elements within the video that you can actually ask people questions in the video and say, what would you like to see next? And you give them options, and then they could skip to those things by clicking on the video. There's a particular term for that. I forget what it's called. But those I think are super useful as well. We've had a lot of success personally also with these group webinars or one-on-one webinars, even where we're basically doing they're basically pre-sales Zoom calls with our customers. And I do think that's a little bit unique in the WordPress space overall, but we do find that they've been valuable for us. We do, as a whole, for GiveWP in particular, we have like an average job size of about $240 per customer, which in the end does justify a little bit more time on the pre-sales side of things.
Mhm.
So there are lots of different options. Katie, have you considered other types of demoing for your customers in any way?
Yeah, one of the challenges for me as having many different products is
Yeah.
that we've got like 23 products, so that would be a lot of webinars. So I love the idea, but I suppose we could do that for our most popular products, then that might justify it. Our average order value is exactly half what you just said. Ours is about $120 rather than 200 plus. But then if it's a group webinar, then that's less time per user, so it might be worth it for the bigger products. I saw something really cool a few months ago on a SaaS website where they'd kind of embedded a sort of their product in an editable way into the page, into their homepage. So I can't remember what it was, but you could actually click on it and change stuff, and it was within the sales page. So I thought that was a really instant way of getting the demo. But for me, it's always a dilemma as to what to prioritize. So you've got the top of your sales page, and you've got your pricing and buy type buttons, and you've got maybe a front end demo and a back end demo. And do you put a video there? And it's like how you have to kind of offer, or a webinar. So how do you choose which one is the most important, given that users do want different things?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, we are getting into our last segment at this stage, and it's honestly one of my favorites. I love being able to talk about just the best advice that we have for any WordPress product owner who's trying to get into this for the very first time. I think we can do it in a couple different ways. Like sometimes I say, let's give an elevator pitch. Like, you're passing somebody in the hallway track at WordCamp. They're like, hey, how do I get started with InstaWP? You got like 2 seconds while they're walking away. What's your pitch there? But let's say it's more of like a quick little chat together. We got some time and space. So what's our best advice for folks who want to do live product demos and are just getting started with it? Vikas, you want to start us off?
Okay. I think I think what we have discussed before, I can go back to it a little bit, is find a pain point which your customers are experiencing when they are trying to understand what your product does, right? If the landing page is not enough, if the screenshots are not enough, if the videos are not enough, if pre-recorded webinars are not enough, I guess is having a admin demo goes a long way. And the admin demo does not only become like a way to demo the product, it becomes like a lead magnet actually at that point. Because you can collect email addresses from your users if you want to, with their permission, and then send them a list of emails over the next period of, let's say, 7 to 14 days for them to nurture, and then let them know more about your product. And that way you have to actually see at the end of the day, the goal is for you to talk about your product as much as the user wants to listen in the way that they understand, right? I think that's the goal you want to accomplish. And then the honest truth is that you want to convert the user to a paid customer. It doesn't matter however which way you look at it. And these are all the different ways which we are discussing, is like different kind of mechanisms to do that. So getting that leads into your database, and then started executing it, and then sending a mail again on maybe a Black Friday, and then have a clear unsubscribe button, right? If that is something of that is always a best kind of practice to do it. So, and webinars are also a great lead magnet. So if somebody wants a personal demo, so it can be pre-recorded or a live demo. But if the ticket size is good, I wish we have $240 of a ticket size. But if you have that, then I guess personal demos are one of the best way to convert somebody. It's in InstaWP, even though we make it so easy to launch a WordPress site, communicating the benefits, as we have discussed earlier, becomes a pain point for us. So I generally hop on to live demos and then do personally, and I have one more person to do that, and those really work well for us. And then as a SaaS platform, we look at more like an LTV value rather than the first ticket size value. So if your LTV is high enough and it justifies a personal demo, then why not?
Yep, absolutely. No, that's really good stuff. That's great, Vikas. Katie, what's your take? Maybe a little bit preaching to yourself a little bit as you're jumping into it right now, but what's your best advice?
My best advice, based on what I'm doing now, is to put yourself in the customer's shoes and think about their experience of discovering your product for the first time in the context, not necessarily of installing it on their own website, but viewing a demo site that you've already set up. So I've learned a lot about our document library plugin just by viewing the InstaWP demo and thinking about what pages to include and where to direct people and things. And I'm thinking about it like, well, if they start on this page, how will they know to go to this page, or that this other place even exists with different settings? And then I started thinking, well, maybe that's an issue in the plugin more generally for all our users and not just in a demo. So yeah, put yourself in their shoes and really think about that journey, because that's what's ultimately going to convert them into a paying customer.
It's actually funny when you talk about that. A lot of plugin developers I speak to, they say that if I expose my admin panel, nobody will buy my plugin.
Oh dear.
That might be something you
They
want to work
shouldn't
on
be selling it then.
So I mean, of course, there are some complex plugins which are difficult to set up, but they are just exceptions. But in general, if people are finding it difficult to use the admin panel to set up something in a plugin, then there is like a larger problem inside.
Yes.
and I think solving that itself will help the plugin in the long term.
Absolutely, that's a really good one. Me personally, I'm going to be a little bit different take. I think if you're just getting started, the most important thing you can do is talk with your customers as much as possible. And so I wouldn't start with a live demo that folks can just jump into and jump out of without any interaction. I really would recommend doing the weekly like Zoom webinar type of thing. Get people on a call, get them asking questions, especially if you're a founder or a co-founder and you're like, I'm building this myself. This is my business. I'm excited about it. I'm passionate about it. People love meeting you, and they feel like they're insiders getting on the beginning of a new career and things like that. They'll give you feedback for years, things like that. It does take time, but I think it's kind of like it's killing several birds with one stone. You basically, I don't love that phrase, but like you get a lot of things done at once. You get a lot of customer insight. You start to build loyalty for your product. You get a lot of feedback on the spots of your product that aren't cool, that the customers are like, that's weird. Why would you do that? And you get to actually answer all their questions right in one call, and hopefully turn them into great customers. So I'm not gonna. Zach is commenting. He's being. I'm not. What? Now I have to show it. I don't
You
kill
said
birds,
it now.
Zach. I don't kill birds. I don't. So yeah, that's my take. Talk to your customers as much as possible. Be the live demo that you want them to see, and I think that'll pay dividends in the long run. So.
One more advice which which we have not talked about so far is in the context of live demos. It may be admin demos or not. That doesn't really matter. But if you are comfortable with software like Microsoft Clarity or Hotjar, I think that is also a very good way to understand your customers without even talking to them, because you are not installing that software in a sensitive part of their website. You're actually installing in a demo environment which is controlled, so you can see their mouse movements and you can actually see the recordings, how they are using it. And I suggest sometimes to install that on the InstaWP demo sites, and then you can actually log into your customers demo sites, the potential users who are using the demo sites, from the admin panel, from the InstaWP dashboard, and you can see how they are actually going through the demo to make your product better and better over time. But I totally agree with you, Matt. Means if you're just starting out, I think you should keep it simple. Just talk to your customers, understand how they are using the product, and then figure out the journeys which other users will also get. Will basically the outcome of those discussions should translate into the product in a way that it becomes more useful to other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I really like that. It touches on something you referred to briefly earlier, Vikas, which was A/B testing. And I forgot to follow up, but I was thinking, how do you A/B test on an InstaWP demo? So is that the way to do it then? You install something like Hotjar to track what your users are doing?
Yeah, so you can install Hotjar inside the demo sites, and those will be recorded in your Hotjar account or Clarity account, and you can just view those at a later point of time. That becomes like a database of different people experiencing your product, and I think that's a gold mine when we do that for our SaaS application or when we want to understand customer behavior, and then with that gives us like a collective input of a lot of customers. If they are not clicking a button which you thought they are going to click and they never click it, so that's an input for you, right? Means you
Yeah.
just change that button color. Means I think, Katie, you have been sharing a lot of insights on Twitter recently, and I've been following that. So means even just sharing, even just changing a links text goes a long way, right? When you're A/B testing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
love that, because it means for version 1, you need to go with your kind of best guess as to where to start the user, but actually you can really get an evidence-based way to make a final decision on that over time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. If
Yep.
only we still had Google optimized, though. Man, that was so great. They also just announced again today sunsetting Google Podcasts too. So fortunately, we're already on Google Music Podcasts over here, so we're all set. Vikas, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your insights. It's been really a great conversation overall.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me, Matt and Katie. This was wonderful. I get to speak about my product and also means talk about a lot of a pain point area with a lot of product owners actually face. And I have been a plugin and theme shop. We have a plugin and theme shop in the past, so I do understand how difficult it is to run that shop and how difficult it is to like convey your value prop.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, everybody. It's been great. Next week, we actually are going to have a good friend and colleague of mine, Ben Rittner, co-founder of or founder of Cadence WP, and we're excited to talk with him about product innovation. Ben has been innovating in the WordPress space for years and years. Internally at Stellar, we're always leaning on him for new ideas. The whole way in which we're rolling out Cadence AI is all really geared around Ben's intuition for products. So I'm excited to bring him here and talk about how can we all be more and more innovative in our approach to products. So with that said, have a good week,
Cool.
everybody. We'll see you next time.